This man is in prison, but he didn't care. He saw that a soldier was freeing him. Then he got out. Then he found out that there was a thunderstorm. But he didn't care. And then he was freeing every inmate. And then he went down and got hurt. But he didn't care. And then he went out to get some fresh air. Then he worked out for 8 hours. And then he played basketball with his friend. And then he went back into prison. And then he realized the stairs were covered in rubble. But he didn't care. And then he used his parkour skills to get up. And then he went over to free someone. And then he went in here for no reason. Then he jumped down and got hurt. And then he went to Roblox headquarters to steal all tier Robux. And then he called his friends to help him. And then he went up to the top. But then he fell and got hurt. But he didn't care. And then when he got there, he realized that Noon was there. But he didn't care and stole all their Robux. And then he climbed up the tower. He went all the way to the top. And then he saw a volcano erupting. But he didn't care. And then he saw that the other tower was collapsing. But he didn't care. And then he went down and got hurt. But he didn't care. And then he died. But he didn't. After he escaped the prison, he changed clothes. And went to Eric's site. He went to the rocket. And then he saw the rocket fall over. But he didn't care. And then the rocket took off, but it crashed into the ocean, drowning everyone in it. But he didn't care and jumped down. Then all of a sudden a meteor shower started. But he didn't care. And he jumped down again. But he climbed up again. And then he saw a safe zone and he tried to get to the top. But he realized the ladder was gone. But he didn't care. He failed miserably twice. But he didn't care and went back to the tower. But he realized the stairs were covered in rubble. But he didn't care and used his parkour skills to get up. When he got up, he checked to see if the safe zone is still safe. And then he realized the person at the top got some heavy meteor. But he didn't care. And then he died. But after the experience at the rocket site, he went to have fun in the Ferris wheel. He went in the cyan one, but none of his friends went with him. But he didn't care, and then his friend came in with him. But he didn't care. Then all of a sudden an earthquake started, but he didn't care and died, but he didn't care. After the experience at the Ferris wheel, he got arrested for escaping prison and murdering 2 people for no reason. But he didn't care. And accidentally used a lockpick to break out of his cell. But he didn't care. Until all of a sudden a flash flood started. But he didn't care and freed other inmates. And then he jumped off the balcony. And then he freed his inmates so he doesn't drown. They both went in here for no reason. And then he went down to check how high the water was. And then he realized it wasn't that high. But he didn't care. After the prison was rebuilt, he was sent back into his cell. But he didn't care. Noon was breaking him out, but he didn't care. And he played in his cell. Until all of a sudden an acidic rain started. But he didn't care and went to bed. He slept for 1 second until someone broke him out. He went outside and saw the prison turning into Shrek and Colosseum. But he didn't care and went to bed again. But he was bored and saw his ceiling turning into Shrek. But he didn't care and went outside. But then he went back inside for safety. But he was bored again and went outside. And then he got hurt by the rain. But he didn't care and went back inside his cell. But then he saw that his cell is Shrek now. And then he went into someone else's cell. After the experience at the Shrek prison, he woke up in a hospital. He found out Noon was there. But he didn't care and saw a car outside. And then he stole it to go to his house. But then he realized he drove in a circle. But he didn't care and drove to the beach. But then he randomly went to the school for no reason. He went to learn math, but the equation was for English. But he didn't care and drove to the beach again. But he couldn't get out for 9 years. He finally got out and drove to the beach. He saw a yacht and drove to it because he couldn't swim. He hijacked it and escaped the town, but he didn't care. The end. After he stowed away from the town, he ran out of fuel and went to a school. And then he went to this class. But then he realized there was a sandstorm. But he didn't care. But then he realized he didn't like school, and decided to end it all outside. But then he realized he doesn't get hurt outside, but he didn't care and decided to jump off the balcony to end it all. But then he realized he can jump off the roof. But then he realized the ladder was gone, but he didn't care. And then he found the ladder, but it got flung into the ocean. But he didn't care and went back to ending it all by jumping off the second floor. After the experience at the school, he went to a construction site. And then he saw that everyone was hijacking vehicles. But he didn't care and tried to hijack this crane. And then he climbed up this building. He climbed all the way up to the top. But then he saw a crane. But then he realized a tornado was summoned. But he didn't care and went straight to its path. But then he retreated and climbed the building. He climbed all the way to the top. But then he fell, but he didn't care and got grabbed by Fernando. And then he realized he became bald and lost his hat and glasses. But he didn't care and ran straight into Fernando. And then he died, but he didn't care. After the experience at the construction site, he went to a coastal island. And then he went to the docks. He was going to fish, but then he realized he didn't have a fishing rod. But he didn't care and went back.
You get wrong now.
And then he realized a volcano eruption started, but he didn't care and went to the volcano. He climbed up it. And then he realized shiny blocks were smashing the island, but he didn't care and climbed up again. And then he realized people were climbing up, but he didn't care and got off the volcano. And then he realized the dock was sinking. But he didn't care and stood on the railing for no absolute reason. And then he went on this thing sticking out of the dock. He failed miserably multiple times. And then he finally got on. But then he went on the island. But then he went back on the volcano. And then he did a lap around it. But then he died, but he didn't care. After the experience at the coastal island, he went to Roblox headquarters to the Robux again. But then he realized someone was already there. And then he realized the blizzard started, but he didn't care. And then he jumped down here for some reason.
That's in the zebra.
But then he realized he was stuck. But he didn't care and had an idea. And then he jumped down in the window. And then he died, but he didn't care. After the experience at Roblox headquarters, he went to have fun at the party palace. He went on this ride. He climbed to the top and someone pushed him. And then he fell and got hurt, but he didn't care and climbed up again. And then he tried to push the guy that pushed him. And then he realized a tsunami came.
Sure got him on
He
this.
didn't care. Home he slept for 32 seconds. And then he rizzed up his cell for no reason. And then he realized someone freed him, but he didn't care. And tried to shoot them with a 14 caliber shotgun. But he failed miserably, but he didn't care. And then he went up to absolutely wreck person that freed him. But then she started chasing, and then Hagen scared and ran, but he didn't care. And then he realized shiny rocks were smashing the prison.
Oh, what's the heck?
And then he went to tell it to stop smishing him. But it continued to smash the prison.
More who insisted.
Well, technically, it's his home and a prison.
More system officers.
Number.
In the episode, do your ass now.
After the experience at the prison, he went to Song on a Ferris wheel with a zombie man.
More system officers, yeah.
And I said no.
And old sailors just said,
What are you gonna do? Fire me.
so it must.
After the experience at the Ferris wheel, he saw God. What just happened?
During that first room,
You can't do that.
as will help.
Nothing.
After the experience at the hospital, he threw a party at his home. And then he realized there was no cake, decorations, or lights. But he didn't care and went upstairs. And then he realized a fire started, but he didn't care and climbed up this ladder. And then he realized it wasn't safe here. But he didn't care and jumped down. And then he went in his home and died, after the experience at his home, he went to a factory. And then he realized it was the bossman's factory. But he didn't care and went inside to destroy it. And then he tried to climb up to the second floor, but he failed miserably multiple times. But he didn't care and found the right way. And then he realized a tsunami started.
Mr. Monster of Bimanu,
Oh no, he's back.
him with my feet.
Who?
Oh, me.
Who asked? Well, you look like a turkey dinner that looked like it ate the people, plus ratio.
He was Alpha National.
What happened to him?
He is Suyo.
After the experience at the factory, he went to a refinery. And then he went outside to climb up the tower. And then he changed his mind and went down, but he didn't care and went to the back. And then he tried to blow up the building. And then he got dragged into the ocean. And then he died, but he didn't care. After the experience at the refinery, he jumped out of the matrix through the water. And then he blew up all the computers so that the bossman couldn't get out.
Says the way what I know.
We just did. After the experience at the server room, he realized he was in hospital. But he didn't care. And then he went outside. And then he realized he was back in the town. And then he realized he had defeated and killed the bossman, but he didn't care and went home. The end. After the experience at the dot hospital, he went to his home. He realized he left his door open, but he didn't care and went to the dot kitchen. He wanted a banana, but Dot accidentally ate an apple, but he didn't care. He went to watch TV. He watched Alvin and the Chipmunks for 30 days. But then he went to the news. And then he realized that Dot the Bossman was still alive. But he didn't care. And then he went outside to Dot find the Bossman. And then he found his car and Dot stole it. And then he drove to absolutely Dot wreck the Bossman. After he looked at 22 places, he Dot went to check this place. And then he realized a tsunami started. But he didn't care and went to check this room. And then he realized that the bossman wasn't Dot in there. And then he went up the stairs but realized the stairs were broken. But he didn't care and went back down because the bossman wasn't there. And then he got absolutely wrecked by the Dot bossman. And then the bossman started dragging him to his lair. After the experience at the beach, Dot he woke up chained in the bossman's lair. But he didn't care and saw the bossman coming at him.
It hot skirts.
Bro, he does.
Farmers nush. Hot. We can be a what I has here. Win it up. Often look on your shower. الوحيس يخاف ترسل أبويس سأسعر بثيه برنا ويوي ويشلوخ تسازنك
After the interrogation with the boss man, he tried to break free of his shackles, but he failed miserably multiple times. And then he saw a lightsaber, but it was quite far away. But he didn't care and he forced up to grab it. And then he used it to break himself free of his shackles. And then he ran away. And then he went to hide in this cave. And then he got jump scared by the boss man. But he didn't care and he ran up this hill. And then he went up this antenna looking thingy. And then he realized this was a dead end, but he didn't care.